Bill and Dana, good morning to you. Tonight, the president's kicking off what's expected to be the first of many public events highlighting how they're handling the U.S. economy. It's no secret, Bill. Democrats want to make the economy the #1 issue in next year's midterms, and the president told Politico that's fine by him.
I do want to talk about the economy, sir, here at home, and I wonder what grade you would give
A plus.
A plus.
Yeah, A plus.
On Monday, the president announcing U.S. farmers are going to get a $12 billion package, essentially one-time checks to assist them during what's been a rough year. You remember China temporarily stopped buying U.S. soybeans. That created huge problems for many people in the heartland. But Democrats say it's all Trump's fault.
Be very clear. The reason farmers need relief at all is largely because Donald Trump betrayed them and decimated their businesses with his disastrous tariffs.
Tonight, the president expected to focus more on where prices have stabilized or even dropped. The latest gas price data from AAA shows the current average nationally at $2.94 a gallon. 1 year ago, it was just above $3.01, but way down from where we were in the records back in 2022. A huge X factor in the economy remains interest rates. Today, the Federal Reserve kicking off a two-day meeting, the last before the holidays, where another rate cut is on the table. The Wall Street Journal writing officials will also release new economic projections tomorrow that could show how much the current group expects to cut rates, if at all, in 2026. Speaking of the new year, the president expected to ramp up his domestic travel, talking about the economy and other issues ahead of the midterms because Republicans are eager to get him out on the trail as well.
How about this new one they have? Their new star, Crockett. How about her?
I didn't know you had elves working here.
No, you smell like a bum's nutsack.
Does Santa know that you left the workshop?
You're so ugly you could be a modern art masterpiece.
Damn it. Just sit there like a fucking re...
Cheap, lying, no good, rotten, four-flushing, low-life, snake-licking, dirt-eating, inbred, overstuffed, ignorant, blood-sucking, dog-kissing, brainless, dickless, hopeless, heartless, fat-ass, bug-eyed, stiff-legged, spotty-lipped, worm-headed sack of monkey sh**.
Did you have to borrow a reindeer to get down here?
5'9", I didn't know they stacked sh** that high. You trying to squeeze an inch in on me somewhere, huh?
It's an angry elf.
You shat me out of your womb. You're my mom now. I don't need any god lectures out of you. I know how to keep a low profile.
It looks to me like the best part of you ran down to cracking your mama's ass and ended up as a brown stain on the mattress. I think you've been cheated.
Somebody drop you on your head?
Jerry, you cooked. You cooked, bro. You cooked. We got to tweet that one. Send it. Send it. How many different movie references? It was like 36 different movie references. Really well done. I don't know why it was the Elf. Maybe this is the Christmas season. Why the Elf references hit so hard. And then also Christmas Vacation, National Lampoons. Very good. One of the greatest rants of all time. Tim Pool delivering one of the greatest rants of all time on his program. Holy smokes. What did we say yesterday, man? The Kraken has opened up the portal. The podcast wars of 2025 have officially begun. I assume that they'll be carried into 2026 as this is the last month of 2025. And ladies and gentlemen, hot damn, we got a show for you today, Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. Welcome to our Christmas season, although some of the news certainly doesn't feel Christmassy. Some of the conversation about us, about everyone, it doesn't feel very Christmassy, does it? I'm going to try and pull the train back onto the track here. What the hell is going on? You got to lock up bad guys. We have a system of corruption in Washington, D.C. that we can prove to you today knew exactly who the pipe bomber was on January 6th. This individual, just like close your eyes and like take the actual suspects out of it. Look at the actual crime itself. This individual was trying to cause mass panic, stampedes during the MAGA rally. They placed, let's just call it bomb-like art projects at the RNC and DNC. I don't know if they're operable. Some really smart people tell me they weren't operable. They're trying to kill people. That's terrorism. If that person was hardcore MAGA, I would be like, that's the one guy who shouldn't get a pardon because that guy tried to kill people. And if you find a pipe bomb and there's a bunch of people marching and rallying around and somebody screams bomb, then that's how like kids get trampled and old people get knocked over and kicked to the curb and hit their heads on the curb. People die. And let's say the bomb does go off. Let's say it is an operable bomb. More people die. This individual is a terrorist with a capital T. It's a true terrorism. And the Biden administration knew exactly who they were. We have that dead to rights. We have those documents right now. Show them to you. Now ask yourself, what kind of an effing monster doesn't actually arrest the terrorist? Lets them roam free. How sick, how corrupted is all this? I know that we've been live together. We have covered together Donald Trump's arraignments, 4, 5, 10 of them. Donald Trump's mugshot, we did that live. The raid of Mar-a-Lago, we were live all day and night for that. President Trump getting shot in the head. So many of the other ups and downs, the horrors of the last 4 years, we've been together on this program, on this channel, covering it live. But I will argue that this is the single worst thing that I have seen thus far. And I'm going to explain why on the program. Lucky for us, we have some great guests who will join me in that explanation. Rand Paul, Senator Rand Paul, on the show, major truth teller, going to be going hard against vaccines, Dr. Fauci, and then hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, some answers from Jamie Comer, Chairman James Comer. Also on the program, two hawks in the House and the Senate looking at oversight, and most importantly, what will happen? We are so sick of nothing happening. I'm tired of it. I'm tired. And you can see now that there are forces clearly coordinated trying to rip apart the MAGA movement, trying to break apart that which Charlie built. And that would be actually the greatest desecration of the man's legacy, wouldn't it? Because that electoral map is only made possible by a coalition of people that were able to get along because we had common purpose. That common purpose seems to be atomizing right now. And so it is incumbent on the president, his team, J.D. Vance. We were just with J.D. Vance 72 hours ago in Washington, D.C. at a Christmas party. Probably a good time to talk about our Christmas ornaments. I did take a Christmas ornament. Did I send that to the team? I didn't. I put a Christmas ornament on J.D. Vance's Christmas tree. Do you have that? No, I don't think I've sent anyone this video because, well, quite frankly, I was like, well, there it is, wandering around. No, I just sent it in the chat. That's the one from Trump Tower, and here's one from J.D. Vance's house. It's a weird way to like blend in a conversation about Christmas, but why not? Here's the official J.D. Vance Christmas ornament going on his Christmas tree. This is J.D. Vance's Christmas tree, okay? So get you one, ladies and gentlemen, and help save America. I am trying to unite people this holiday season. I am trying to unite a movement that needs, quite frankly, to remember who it is and what we are about. We are about making things in America. We are about American jobs first. We are about our veterans, and we are about our own ingenuity, fighting forward to the future, laughing in the face of those who hate us and persecute us. And that is what you can find here in our $5 Christmas ornaments. You can send your Christmas tree, by the way, to Klein@BennyJohnson.com. Christmas tree. I don't know if Klein has one set up. Oh, you got a couple? Okay, look at this. What a beauty. You got a name here? Look at this guy. Look. Bobby and Julie. Christmas maxing. Oh, well. Okay, look at that. Yo, that is beautiful. I love these little Charlie Brown Christmas trees. That's amazing. Look at you got the whole bundle. Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Abram Gonzalez shot a whole video of our Christmas tree. This is what we're trying to do. Look, thank you, Abram Gonzalez. Can I do this? Can you just read off the names one more time for this? This is Abram Gonzalez, Bob and Julie Eric, Aesop fan, that's right, awesome. I know you from the chat. What's up? Emily Rodvold, beautiful. This is the movement. What an incredible movement. This is why we do the Christmas ornaments. We want people to be inspired and to remember like what we've all been through. And everything from the dump truck to the B-2 bomber to Trump RFK, Elon, everyone making this movement possible. but it's not possible if we fight each other and destroy ourselves from the inside. And so it's time for adults to step up and start doing the work and to start calling out the bullshit and to start aggressively and authoritatively pushing back. And that's what we've been trying to do, quite frankly, on this show. And I got to tell you, I want to just start off the top because Tim Pool did a rant on Candace Owens yesterday, and Tim and Candace are now at war. I don't want to give a ton of fuel to the fire there because obviously the two of them are really, really going at it right now. I want to say what I've always said about Charlie is that I want the truth. I've been asked this on stage in front of thousands of kids. I've been asked this on shows in front of millions of people. I'm not satisfied. It's perfectly logical to say I want more evidence. It's perfectly rational to say I don't think that the government is being forthcoming in all of the evidence. Maybe they're hoarding it for a trial. But you can already see the breakdown there when it comes to the judge who is ordering that cameras be left out of the courthouse, that you're not allowed to film Tyler Robinson. He's about to rule on whether media can be there at all. Do you know how insulting that is to the American people? Do you know how traumatic that was for everyone? And to not have closure there, to be able to see the demonstrable evidence, everything from biological evidence, DNA evidence, physical evidence, the family testimony, putting people on the stand, and that would be maybe their only hope. And you know how we got to this point? Because of the pipe bomber story. Because of stories like this. This is how we got here. Because we've been lied to so much. And so I understand Tim Pool's frustration. And I understand the people who are asking questions about it. I asked questions about it too. Charlie was my friend. The thing that I won't do is engage in evidence-free desecration of Charlie's memory, attacking and insulting and demeaning his widow, his children, his legacy with Turning Point, ripping that organization asunder. I mean, that's where it's gone to, which is patently evil. But I want to explain how we got here. The whole question everything, the whole no one's telling the truth, the Fed slop. We got here because it was obvious that everyone has been lying to us. In the case of Charlie, this is why we've been such full-throated, slamming our fists on the table advocates for clarity on every front, every piece of evidence, every piece of video, demonstrable, empirical, laid out before us, full cameras, live feed in the courthouse, every word, every statement, every interview, everything broadcast live for the world to see, to shut down once and for all what the hell happened that day when you took a generational leader from us, a future president, a father, husband, and my friend. And we will tolerate nothing less on that. They lied about Lee Harvey Oswald. No one gets punished for this kind of stuff. Nobody's ever punished for lying. You only get punished for telling the truth. Lee Harvey Oswald had bumped into the CIA multiple times. Now we learn from the documents. You can go here. You're insane, Benny. Just go to the federal documents pages here on the National Archives. Go look at it for yourself. CIA now begrudgingly giving up just small bits of information, and just the little bits that they've given out here has been horrifying for the narrative about Lee Harvey Oswald. They lied. They lied for 70 years that the CIA had nothing to do with it. Of course they had everything to do with it. They have fingerprints all over this thing. It's not provable in the document. In fact, you're a conspiracy theorist. I don't like to even use that term because there's just theories. But you're a conspiracy theorist if you don't think that. If you think it was just like the lone gunman with no connection to the CIA, because there was a connection to the CIA and to the Cubans and to the communists in Mexico. We know that through the documents. They lied about that. They lied about Thomas Crooks, the guy who shot Trump in the head. He's not around to defend himself or to sit on trial. I mean, frankly, kind of wish he was. Would have been nice to actually like understand what the hell was going on there. But they lied about Thomas Crooks. The major lie about Thomas Crooks was that he was a hardcore right-winger. That's what they said before congressional testimony. Big time right wing. Okay. Total and complete lie. It is a lie by omission. In the man's available comment and internet history, you can see not only was he someone who was a left-winger, he used pronouns, they, them, the most demonic pronouns, by the way. We are legion. He was into furry, deviant art, fetishes, Pornhub, all manner of moral decay and sickness, left-wing coded at its core, very evil, very demonic. Why do they hide this from us? They told us he was a right-winger. The opposite is true. And so you wonder where we get to this, like, how do you get to this place? We can jump back to the pipe bomber here, because obviously this is what we're going to talk about as our lead story today. How the FBI, in their own documents, proved that they knew exactly who Brian Cole Jr. was in 2021. We've known for a long time that they had the pipe bomber dead to rights. They probably knew exactly who this person was, and they buried it. Now we have the documents to prove it. Do you see how we get to this point? Do you see how we get to the atomization point? It starts with one lie, and those lies compound, and you build like a superstructure of lies that, of course, can't support itself. It collapses in on itself, and you're seeing the collapse right now. Charlie was like the last straw, and is why my barking, begging demand of the administration is that every scintilla and piece of evidence, please release it. Do a weekly press conference. Like, I trust the American public. There's always going to be crackpots and people who want to make something of nothing. But most importantly, just like trust us with everything. Because what we will demonstrate today on the program is that in some of the biggest, most dangerous, most deadly moments in American history, that, like, for instance, the pipe bomber, like, how many people were put in prison because of the pipe bomber? What do I mean by that? The pipe bomber framed the narrative that this was a terrorist event on the Capitol. We have, one of the funniest memes ever. Can you give me that old Steven voiceover meme of the guy doing the announcements, people walking through the Capitol? January 6th was, of course, the opposite of that. January 6th was more like a like little old ladies walking around a museum taking photos of the statues and artwork inside of the Capitol. But because of the pipe bomber, they were able to frame a narrative that all of these people were terrorists. They used the pipe bomber to create that narrative. Look, here's an act of terrorism. Agreed. Now let's frame all these people for being terrorists. This is the op. How many innocent people got their charges raised, got maximum penalties because of the pipe bomber? How many innocent people that just walked through the halls of the Capitol, I don't know if we have the footage, but just wandered innocently through the halls of the Capitol after the police opened the doors for them? How many of them got their lives destroyed? How many of them committed suicide? I don't know, dozens at least of J6ers kill themselves because they know that their prosecution in Washington, D.C. is going to be framed by this pipe bomber story. Now, of course, you pull the entire rug out from under these people when You prove that the pipe bomber is a young black man who comes from a left-wing Democrat activist family whose family says he is not MAGA, he is not a Trump supporter. This black man has since confessed to planting the pipe bombs, so I'm just not quite sure what more you need. How many of these people? You just let it play. I mean, I'm not in like a joking mood. The commentary is hilarious to all this. But like, how many of these people, look at them. They're abiding by the velvet ropes. Right, but you know what? F it. Let's hear just a little bit. They're
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the U.S. Capitol building. If you've joined us today for the insurrection, please make sure you pick up a promotional leaflet on the way in, stay inside the safety cordons at all times, and if you get lost, speak to one of our Capitol police officers. They'll be sure to point you in the right direction. And be sure to set aside a little time today to join us for some insurrection activities, including our photography tour, our fancy dress competition, and have a go on our climbing wall. But don't forget those safety ropes.
Let them be let in.
And I've now received the results of our fancy dress competition. The winner today is Jacob Chansley. That's Mr. Jacob Chansley. If you could report to your nearest Capitol Police officer, they'll be sure to give you your prize, a guided tour of the building.
All right, enough. Sorry, I long for this news cycle once more. Remember, they didn't want to release any of this footage. All of this footage was released once Republicans got back in power, and even then, there were plenty of Republican saboteurs who were trying to prevent its release, including, of course, the curious footage of the cops releasing one of the J6 protesters that they had handcuffed, and then the guy was fist bumping all the cops. How obvious is it that this thing was just crawling with feds? What's the point? The point is that the pipe bomber story is real and important because of that. Every one of these people, thousands of them, lost their freedom, lost probably their life savings, had to travel to D.C. for all these arraignments. Here it is. Here's the dangerous, scary, insurrectionist, terrorist protester getting handcuffed because he was clearly committing a crime and just normal police activity. Release him at the door and then fist bump him. Classic criminal activity, classic police operation here. No, dude, it's fed. No, dude. That's what's going on. And so that's why so many people speculated about the pipe bomber that this was like an inside job. And then they come out with this. It was an inside job. Now we know. DC pipe bomber Brian Cole. Documents officially proving that Brian Cole was known to the Biden, DOJ, and FBI back in 2021. Let's go ahead and read here. Federal court filings indicate that the Biden FBI identified the J6 pipe bomber as early as 2021, but did not move to arrest or charge the suspect several years, according to the affidavit and repeated release from January 6th Select Committee. Brian Cole, 30, of Woodbridge, Virginia, was taken into custody on Thursday and charged with the use of explosive device and attempted malicious destruction using explosive materials. Prosecutors alleged Cole planted pipe bombs outside of the Republican and Democrat National Committee headquarters on January 5th, 2021, the night before the Capitol riot. Investigators say Cole later admitted to placing the devices. The arrest comes 5 years after the Biden DOJ's discovery. The House Select Committee in January 6th noted that in its report, the subcommittee found that the FBI case team, April 2021, identified a redacted user who had been in the area where the pipe bombs were placed using their phone. The affidavit stated that the cell phone towers from the area, the RNC and DNC headquarters, showed Cole's phone in the area where the pipe bombs were placed, with 7 data session transactions taking place with nearby towers between 7:39 p.m. and 8:24 p.m. on January 5th, 2021. The bombs were placed near the RNC and DNC. So they had his phone. The FBI says that the dude has had the same phone since like 2019. So they had the dude's phone. And they had the pings. Well, just a reminder, can you show some of this horrifying J6 terror footage? Just a reminder that every one of these people were arrested because of their phones. Every single one was arrested. A lot of them were wearing masks. A lot of them it was very, very cold outside on January 6th. A lot of them are wearing masks and cold weather gear, so it's hard to see their faces. They use these cell phone tracking devices to arrest every effing one of these people. And by the way, it's a lot harder to track a cell phone in this scenario than it is in the pipe bomber scenario. Can you show me some pipe bomber footage here? Okay, so how easy would that have been? Thank you. How easy is this by comparison? That dude's standing alone on the street. And if you have 7 data sessions, then that is transmitting his geolocation, that's transmitting his cell phone activity, probably looking for pinpoints on a map. Who was giving him these pinpoints? This is transmitting much easier to scrape data than January 6th. They arrested every one of the J6ers who were standing there in that crowded, chaotic building. Pipe bomber standing alone. You know how easy it would be to actually track the cell phone pings and say, okay, we got this person because the cell phone is connected to Brian Cole Jr. Then they have his license plate. Then they have all of his purchasing and of the materials for the bomb. But instead of that, and again, this is why Candace, Tim, massive crash outs all across social media. The reason why this is all happening is because we have been lied to. And the American public is so primed because, well, as you can see here, this footage is degraded. Our authorities, okay, so this is a 1 frame per second footage. 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, 4 second. These are not the cameras they're using. 1 second per frame footage, we've had more sophisticated cameras since the 1900s than 1 frame per second. They know that we can find the security cameras at the DNC. These are sophisticated, modern security cameras. Somebody degraded this footage on purpose so that you couldn't figure out identifying features of the pipe bomber. Somebody degraded this footage on purpose. There's another scene. I'm not sure if we have it locked completely, but there's another scene where you would be able to see directly into the pipe bomber's eyeballs, right into their eyes. Obviously, your eyes are as accurate as a fingerprint, even more so. You get an eye scan, they're more unique and discerning markers in your eyeballs than anywhere else on your body. So getting a nice, clear picture of this individual's eyes would tell you their eye color, their hair color, depending on how good the shot is, at least their skin color, maybe even. We don't even know the skin color of this suspect, right? Given all the available footage. The FBI did. Because the FBI has 39,000 different frames and angles had of this individual, and they never released anything that would let the public know that they were black, white, yellow, purple, whatever. More importantly, and ALX, we're going to have to I think this is revolver reporting. They blurred, there's a time when the pipe bomber looks up into a security camera and they blur the eyes. They blurred the eyes. Somebody went in and edited it. The FBI goes in and edits it in order to guarantee that no one in the public would ever be able to find any type of identifying features. Why? Because they needed the pipe bomber to be a terrorist so they could bring terrorism charges, accelerated charges against J6ers. Here's the affidavit. This will prove it. Here's the literal documents that'll prove it. So how evil this is. You wonder why we have these problems. You wonder why we have these fights over Charlie's death. It's because the federal government and the institutions that are supposed to run law enforcement have so atomized their credibility, so destroyed themselves. This is not a knock on Dan and Cash. I mean, I think the real question to Dan and Cash, which I think they've done a great job, actually, with what they've been given is, can the FBI be saved at all? Look at this. Here is the 2021 Brian Cole Jr. affidavit. Boy, it sure looks like they actually knew exactly who it was. The FBI, as the FBI continually analyzed large data sets of carriers, certain devices exhibited behavior consistent with the suspect. For example, in April of 2021, case team identified blank user who was in the area of the DNC at the time and can be seen in video footage using their phone. The FBI requested and received historical cell phone tower data of the user in April 2021. The case team was attempting to further analyze the user's movement. It was ultimately unclear what happened with respect to that lead. Oh, so they had the pipe bomber. It's unclear what happened. They had him. Because what you can see here in the actual affidavit of the arrest after the arraignment, here's what was released. Provider records show that Cole cell phone connected to provider cell phone towers, consistent with Cole cell phone being in the area of the RNC and DNC. Cole cell phone engaged approximately 7 data sessions transacting with cell phone towers between the times that the bombs were placed. Provider's historical cell phone data shows specific towers for each transaction along with sector of the towers engaged in the transaction of the cell phone. It's the same thing. They wrote the same thing. Wow. And here it is. They straight up blurred their eyeballs. The editing shows that they blurred the eyeballs in the footage. Here it is from Revolver. Release the tape. They're hiding definitive proof of who the pipe bomber was. You know, even just this guy is a young black man changes everything. It changes everything. But in multiple pieces of, as you can see, they actually edited out. Look at that. They actually edited out the ability to see the bomber's eyes, skin color, some type of empirical and defining feature. Look at that. Adding edits, looking straight at the camera. The edits. Oof. This is how you get here, ladies and gentlemen. And the FBI lied. You know what they said about this data? About this evidence? It goes along with this evidence. You know, they said it's corrupted. In multiple congressional hearings, Stephen D'Antonio, who was in charge of the FBI field office, the same guy who was in charge of Gretchen Whitmer Fednapping, said it was corrupted. The cell phone data. They lied to us about the cell phone data. The cell phone company said it wasn't corrupted at all. And now we know from our own records, from the records of the federal government, that they had them. They knew exactly who it was. They traced, because there was only one dude wandering around. There's only one dude. If you're going to do something like this, you can't have a cell phone device. There's a tracking device. There's a tracking device. So it's like you're carrying that. They're able to geolocate everywhere that you are. Everything that you're doing is geolocated on a map. They know precisely where you are at all times. And the FBI figured it out. And then they lied to us. For 5 years, they said it would be much better for us to put Meemaw McGurk into prison, destroy her life, so that we can have a narrative. Ladies and gentlemen, in just moments, Rand Paul will be joining our program. It's getting set right now. But I got to tell you, there's one other thing that I think is particularly dark and egregious here. And you know what? It is still legal to notice things. We're noticers. We're official noticers. They're into the same stuff, man. Matthew Thomas Crooks, Brian Cole Jr., Tyler Robinson. Look at this from this morning. DC pipe bomb suspect Brian Cole Jr. has secret online obsession over My Little Pony. He's a brony, dude. Trans, furries, porn culture. This kind of stuff rots your brain. But I also think that it's recruitment grounds inside of these communities for intel agencies and for some of the darker forces that can corrupt young men. And at the age of 25, boy, howdy, isn't Brian Cole Jr. the exact same? This is the age that he planted these bombs devices. Boy, like, isn't that the exact same age as Thomas Matthew Crooks, Tyler Robinson? Young 20s, dude in his young 20s, terminally online, autistic, spectrumy, loner. Who is running this guy? Telling you, man, I'm telling you, the number one thing that we've got to prevent is some type of continuation of the op that this was like just a lone wolf. That this guy just snapped and just decided to do this. That's the big question. Who was operating? Stephen D'Antonio was the guy who ran the Fed-napping. He was in charge of Washington, D.C. Bureau for FBI. Got to bring him in. He's got to be called in. Why did you lie to us about the corrupted data? He's got to be called in. We know the guy to do it, Rand Paul. Rand Paul is the dude who's been on our program, made quite a bit of news last time about what he thinks about the pipe bomber and what should happen next. Pretty brave for speaking out against it. Obviously, tons of news about Dr. Fauci and his lies to the American people. The Rand Paul wrecking ball live from the U.S. Senate right now, joining the show. Senator, thank you so much for being on the program. Last time you were on, you made a ton of news saying that you're not buying this whole, like, we can't find the pipe bomber stuff. Apparently that made the rounds in D.C., and they said, okay, well, here's the pipe bomber. What do you make of this story?
I am pleased that, we have gotten to the bottom of it, and I think we have. It is good work. I mean, contrast that with 4 years of the Biden administration sitting around not looking, and then this administration actually looking at the same data. I think it is good news that they've sifted through it and found him. The news reports are that he's confessed. So we'll see. But when you had that brief about him being into this My Pony craziness, if your kid is watching My Pony, throw the computer out the window and tell your kid he needs to go out and play in the grass and play with a wiffle ball or a kickball or something. But we do have to do a better job with our kids. I mean, just this insanity. And I don't completely understand this, but there are a bunch of weird kids out there watching this My Pony stuff, and it doesn't make any sense to a normal person. But I don't know. Kids need to be outside playing, not looking at screens all day.
Yes, this is in the Johnson household. I have 4 kids, 5 and under, and this is every single morning for us. Like, we're outside in the driveway, in the field next to the house. Like, that's where they live. They live life in the real world. But I'm finding like troubling trends with everything from Brian Cole Jr., Thomas Matthew Crooks, and Tyler Robinson. It's a pattern. It's a pattern of being terminally online, being disconnected from the real world, dark rabbit holes, sometimes pornographic in nature, trans, furry obsessions. There's like an archetype there. The young man is like a complete broken loner, purposeless in life, and this seems to be like primo potential recruiting grounds for people to do bad things.
Yeah, also just an argument for better parenting all around. Now, some people say, well, the government just needs to limit and keep my kids off social media. Well, it's like, don't you buy the phone? Don't they live in your house? Parents do need to get involved. So I'm not in favor of these things, but I also don't think it's the government should come back down and shut down all of the access to things because, for example, there are, amazing tools as far as search engines now, AI assisted search engines. I've already noticed it's easier in my research, finding things, knowledge out there through the AI research engines. So you don't want to limit your kids from that. But at the same time, if your kid is all day staring at screens, that's a problem. But we got to get parents more involved in their lives.
So we have this reporting from the January 6th Select Committee subcommittee by Loudermilk that seems to indicate that the FBI had Brian Cole Jr. like dead to rights in 2021. They've released side-by-side reports here that match perfectly, just with the name blotted out. And this cell phone data, of course, is how they entrapped and locked up thousands of J6ers and then accelerated those charges because of the pipe bomber, because this was a terroristic event, they called it. And yet they had the guy that was doing it, and they let him skate. And so what's to be done with this, Senator, should we be calling in like the FBI agents that were running this operation?
Well, we ought to get to the bottom of this. And I don't understand why there would be any incentive of Dan Bongino or Kash Patel to cover up if the FBI did a bad job earlier. I don't know if it was the same agents all throughout or if there was a change in agents, if the lead agents were the same or different. But I would think that there would be an incentive from the current FBI if they knew about this guy 4 years ago and didn't bring him in. I think the unfolding of that story would benefit the current administration. So I don't see why they wouldn't. If there is a story to tell, let us in on that.
Would you be in favor? I mean, this seems like one of the most damaging cover-ups in FBI history. Would you be in favor of impaneling or having a hearing in the Senate in order to look into this? Do you know which committee in the Senate would be looking at this? Would it be judicial?
The jurisdiction of the committees is sometimes confusing and sometimes overlap. But we can use and we will look into it. I will start by just asking the FBI. And the way it works is there's you can use a stick or a club to try to get things, but often you just meet with resistance. And there's an enormous amount of resistance you can get from the FBI or the CIA if they don't want to help. But I know Dan Bongino. I think he's a good guy. I think that he would want this story to be told. And I'll start there and see what we can get voluntarily. And then we'll see if it needs to go any further. But we'll make calls to him to find out what happened, what was going on. Are you going to let us know why this Stonewall? Now, you could see, since the new information hasn't come forward yet, that they're going to be a little hesitant to talk about any of the information yet till they get to court, because it comes in a fashion, and you don't want too much of it rolled out for the defense before it's actually due. But ultimately, when all the information comes out, I see no reason why they wouldn't let us know if this was being stymied somehow by people at the FBI.
Just final question on this front, Senator, you have a great bullshit detector in the Senate. Do you believe that this is just some random act of terrorism by this degenerate loner who was like Spectre-me, according to his own family, was not a Trump supporter, and just was addicted to brony porn?
It's Brony's going to have to be designated as a terrorist organization soon, I think. But no, I don't have any idea. It seems a little coincidental that in the middle of the January 6th thing, which nobody knew was going to be as big as it turned out to be at the time, nobody knew what was going to happen on January 6th. They knew there was going to be a lot of people out there, that he planned on planting the pipe bombs just because there were a lot of people out there. He also plants them into both Republican and Democrat, which sort of does go along with the theory that maybe he was for chaos, that he's not for one party or the other, but that he is for fomenting chaos, which means put a bomb at both headquarters. And then maybe it wasn't directly related to January 6th. Now, this guy's been able to watch what happened with January 6th, for several years now. And so now his story is, maybe he was a doubter of the election also. But I think we're going to find out more over time. They're not going to reveal it immediately because of of the pending trial.
Yeah, I never really stood the muster for me that you would be a MAGA bomber. I mean, the way that this was obviously manipulated was that this was a MAGA bomber, right? This was a Republican. This person was very angry, Trump supporter. It was told that way. Even Jake Tapper still calls him white in reporting all of this with the mugshots and everything.
Well, and I think
white
your
guy,
point, right. And I think your other point, that they use the severity of a bomb to place more harsh penalties on people who were there that day. Yes. And so it's been used as a predicate for bringing the hammer on all these other people. And I can tell you, we are looking into them using geolocation data on all the January 6 people, because we think people's rights were trod upon. There's at least one example, of the woman who is married to an air marshal who was abused, and they knew by geolocation she was never at the Capitol. She was at the Ellipse at the White House. She heard the president speak, and she never went to the Capitol at all. They knew this and still had her on a terrorist watch list for years. But we also know that George Washington University was part of this, and they were getting government money then to do the dirty work of locating all of the people that were around. But we really need to look into how are they getting all this geolocation? Why is it being published? Why are the phone companies putting it out there? And I guess there's money to be made by selling geolocation lists, maybe to retailers to know where people walk and this and that. But then that should be anonymous, not individualized. I think we need to know what exactly is going on here that you can purchase privately through a university and have the geolocation of everybody, which is very personal data. And in the end, got a lot of people falsely accused. And then a lot of people placed who did nothing more than walk in and out of the Capitol or maybe just stand near the Capitol. All of a sudden, they're being thrown to the ground in airports, handcuffed, and treated like terrorists. So what happened on January 6th, what happened with the January 6th committee should never be forgotten. And we still need to work to make sure that there are rules and laws in place that we never have this kind of craziness happen, targeting of citizens. It is an abomination what happened to all the January 6 people.
Yes. So you're talking about people being treated like terrorists who are, peaceful protesters, and grandmothers and mothers who love their country, and then some of them weren't even at the Capitol building. But then there are real terrorists who are coming into our country and killing National Guardsmen and planning on doing car bombs in Dallas. That's just 2 off the dome. Afghan terrorists. They were part of kill squads in Afghanistan that were run by our own CIA, and then we decided they'd make great American citizens because of that. And they got welfare coming here, of course. Like they would be living on the streets if they didn't have this. And I know you've been talking about this. Like, how do we fix that problem of welfare to migrants who don't belong here, who are going to use it then to commit terrorism in the United States?
Well, we admitted nearly 200,000. We've admitted hundreds of thousands of Somalis, and they don't come in through normal immigration. They come in through these special visas. They're considered to be refugees. And then it turns out refugees have been exempt from the rules on welfare. So if you're in here illegally, you're not supposed to get welfare. And even if you come in legally, you're prevented from getting welfare for a certain period of time. It's not supposed to be the beacon of welfare that brings you. It's supposed to be the beacon of freedom and work and capitalism that brings you. But letting so many come in, I opposed it at the time. This was led by McCain and others who say, oh, we owe it to these people. They were our translators. They speak English. It'll be dangerous for them. And I guess my analogy is, look, the British kept attacking us. In 1812, they came and burned our capital. That would be like our founding fathers. That'd be like Madison and Monroe, who were then leading the country, saying, oh, it's dangerous for us. The British are back. Can we go to France? No, stay and fight for your country. And so these people, if they were particularly Western oriented and pro-American, instead of coming to America, 200,000 people is a lot of people. That could be the brain drain of the country. It could be the patriot drain. Now, some of them turned out to be bad, but many of them were good people, but they still needed to stay in Afghanistan. They should have been the people to try to populate the next government. But with them all gone, Afghanistan quickly went to hell in a handbasket. And we couldn't vet them. Many of them had one name at best. We didn't know who they were. And you remember when they used to talk, they would call it what, green on green violence, where we'd have an Afghan person who is embedded with us all of a sudden turn and start shooting our people. It's because you didn't know what to believe. They said, oh, we're sympathetic. We want to work with your military. Well, sometimes they were doing it just because it was a paycheck. And then if you gave them a paycheck, if the Taliban gave a paycheck, they'd work for the Taliban. And some of them were just simply plants. But we never should have admitted so many. Same way with the Somalis. I'm not against Somalis as a people, but let's admit them one at a time based on work and based on how many people were willing to admit that year. But let's not say we're going to take 1 million immigrants a year, which is about what we do. But then on top of that, we'll take another 100,000 Somalis or another 200,000 Afghans on top of our limits. No, let's decide what the limit is. And then let's base it on work and skills, and bring in, the great talent. That's what we've done. We are a great melting pot. And I'm not against legal and lawful immigration, but I am against sort of this mass introduction of people who never assimilate and end up bringing some people to the country actually aren't here for the right reasons and then end up committing violence.
Yeah, I like to use the 51st state rule, which is if the country wouldn't make a good 51st state, then why are you importing people from that country? if you were to bring Somalia over and just attach it to Florida or the Carolinas, would people want to visit? And the answer to that has got to be no, because the inbreeding coefficient is through the roof. So is the child brides. So is the terroristic violence, clan warfare, female genital mutilation, and an entire economy run on piracy and fraud. And so, like, is that compatible with Western civilization? The answer is, of course, no. Right, Senator? Like,
well,
so
and
why...
it also gets to a fundamental point of how you design your immigration system. So while I am for lawful immigration, I'm not for zero immigration. I think we should be selective in who the immigration is. So I've often been long been a fan of the employment-based visas. They're called EB visas, EBV. So they're 1 through 5. They include sometimes people who will bring $1 million and create jobs. Some of them are doctors, some are engineers, some are nurses, and these are people we accept. But I would also say even people who don't have education that are hard workers, if you want to come and be a hard worker. But that's why we should have an absolute sort of wall around our welfare system. We give too much welfare to our own people, but we don't need to be giving any welfare to people who come to the country. In fact, I'm a big believer in the sponsorship idea. If you come to this country, you should have a sponsor, and your sponsor takes care of you. Instead of put them on Medicaid, no, your sponsor should pay for your health care. And that should be it. And that should be a limit. If you can't find a sponsor, then guess what? We may not need another person here. And I think there are ways we could make immigration much more self-sufficient and much more likely to bring in the best people. But if you're coming in and you're going to get put on Medicaid and you want food stamps, you need to stay where you are. You're not an asset. You're now a drain to our country. So I think we need to reassess all these laws. My staff is looking at this currently, and we're looking to see if there's any more of these laws that we can restrict so there isn't any beacon of welfare to come to our country.
Yeah, and if you were to get rid of that, I wonder how many people would re-migrate back to their own countries if you were to stop the goodies
possibly
from flowing. What about a Hart-Celler? I know that the president posted about this on Truth Social. A lot of people talking about how Hart-Celler Act of 1965, and this would be, of course, when you were, like even the baby boomers were small children in 1965. So this is 2 whole generations ago, enacted something that, of course, got rid of sort of the civilizational limits on immigration, and you were able to see third world immigration explode. This is also, of course, where you get the chain migration, where you can just lie and say everyone's your family in Somalia, and so bring all of Somalia over. And that is how you get 200,000 Somalis here, is through chain migration brought about by the Hart-Celler Act. What do you think about this act, Senator? Is this a flawed act? Should it be revised?
If we could ever get together a consensus on immigration reform, yeah, what we should do is base immigration on merit and jobs, not on family connections. Because the family connections, you're right, you sometimes can get a handful of families come. I mean, I don't know how many original Somalis came to Minnesota, but it may have been, 5,000 or 3,000, and now it's 600,000. So some of it's proliferation of those families, but it's also bringing in their extended family clans as well. And undoubtedly, there are good people in the communities. I don't want to paint them with all the same brush, but I'm just against these special visas. I would have one visa, one system, base it on merit, base it on jobs. And, but we did this. We've been in so many wars for so long. And so the McCain wing of the party, they were the big lovers. It was so patriotic. So they brought in Afghanis, but they also brought in Iraqis. Well, I think we had brought in 80,000 Iraqis as well. And like I say, many of them are our allies, but they needed to stay in their country and be the founding fathers of their country, even if they were good people. They needed to be there fighting for their country, not over in ours. And there is a wide difference between their culture and ours that it'd be great if they wanted to come be part of ours, but I don't necessarily want to become part of Iraq. Right. I'm all for people who come over here and want to be part of our country. But if you get too many people all at once, I think they bring their country and they want us to be part of their country.
Yes, exactly. I know that we're at time here, Senator, but I did want to just to get your commentary on Donald Trump, doing a thing that is, something that's tough, right? You screenshot the text message and pop it up on social media. Whoa. Looks like he did that to you. It was about healthcare plans and fixing health insurance.
I guess I guess what it's taught me is I shouldn't use any profanity in any text I send to him because it might show up on his Truth Social. No, actually, I think he meant it.
Do you often do that? Do you swear at the president on text?
Actually don't. I'm a fairly, blasé person as far as what I send to other people. But anyway, I think he meant it to be positive. He and I did work together in the first administration, and we worked on something called association health plans. And this is allowing people to join a bigger group to have leverage, like a co-op or a collective, to bring down prices. The analogy I use is that if you buy insurance individually, we'd let you join like Costco, Sam's Club, Amazon, and then through the larger group size, you'd drive prices down. In his first administration, I worked with him and he did an executive order. The executive order didn't actually work because the Democrats sued, and then the courts limited the application of this. So we need to change the law. But if we change the law and actually make it where every individual could join on an enormous group, what would happen is, Costco has 44 million members. If they got 44 million members that wanted to buy insurance, the head of the buying group would sit down with the CEO of every major insurance company, and it wouldn't be the insurance company dictating the price. United Healthcare would go, oh, we want your 44 million members. What do you want? And so the dictating and the price, it would be more of an even playing field. But if you're an accountant and you have 3 employees, or if you're a podcaster and you have 5 or 10 employees and you try to buy insurance, you have no leverage. But if you joined a big group, you would have leverage. The only thing stopping this is a law. So my bill just gets rid of the law and lets everybody buy it. And then the other thing I would do is I would also let everybody have a health savings account. Right now, only 10% of insurance policies let you buy an HSA or have an HSA. I would let everybody have an HSA. I mean, there's no reason why some people should get to use pre-tax dollars for orthodontics or braces for their kids, and then other people don't get to use that. I mean, it's crazy. Everybody in the whole country should be allowed to have an HSA. My plan, I've totaled up the cost. I don't even have to ask the CBO for a score. My plan costs $0 to the taxpayer. You save money in your HSA. You join Costco and get your, become part of a large group to bid prices down. So my healthcare plan costs $0. Unfortunately, most of the Republicans around here are saying, well, let's take the Obamacare subsidies. Instead of giving them to the insurance company, we'll give them to the individual's health savings account. Well, what do you think happens once they get into the health savings account? They then write a check to the insurance company. It's a pit stop, and you're still giving government money. Government money is not spent wisely because somebody gave it to you. You have to have the ability to have your own money, that if you spend less of it on insurance, you'll have more for you. And that gives you the incentive to try to have less expensive policies. But we shouldn't be furthering the Obamacare, under a different name. This is basically half the Republicans want to do Obamacare light. And what we should do is a free market plan that I propose costs the taxpayer nothing and just simply gives people freedom to try to drive the prices down.
Just in closing here, since we're talking about health freedom, and since I know that this is your marquee issue, please, an update on Dr. Fauci. We saw him at Dick Cheney's funeral, which I'm sure was a shocker to you, Senator.
He and Rachel Maddow at the Dick Cheney funeral. Who would have ever guessed, No, we have sent requests for the last 6 months to him to get information. He is cooperating. We are looking at phone records and emails. We haven't gotten everything we want, but he's still cooperating. As long as he's cooperating, we're trying to negotiate a time for him to come in for testimony. He hasn't agreed to that. And we're going to see in the next couple of weeks whether he agrees to testify or whether he has to be subpoenaed. Now, people say, why don't you just subpoena him? Because what happens if you subpoena people and they resist, you then go to court, and you don't always win, or it's a long, drawn out, years-long battle to try to get people to come in. So if we can get him to come in voluntarily, that's what we're hoping for. We do know from our research of what we have done that he has email exchanges between him and Francis Collins where they talk about deleting these messages. Read this message and delete it. That's illegal. That's against the law. If you work in the executive branch, you cannot delete any email concerning government business. So we have that, and that I think is enough to be of concern and enough for the authorities to look into. We have recommended to the Department of Justice they do something about it. Now online, you'll see all these, idiot paid influencers who are attacking me saying, oh yeah, you said you'd get Fauci. How come you're not doing anything about Fauci? Well, it's because I'm not a prosecutor and I have no power to indict him. I have the power to investigate, and we have been. We've found evidence. We also think he lied over the idea of funding gain-of-function research in China. That's also a crime, to lie to Congress. And for these lies, for these crimes, he has been referred to the group that has the power. We did 2 referral letters under Biden to the Department of Justice, and we received no action. And we've done 1 under the Trump Department of Justice, and we haven't seen any action. That doesn't mean they're not trying. All I can say is I don't have the power, and people have to understand I'm doing the best I can. The investigation continues, but I don't have the power to actually indict anyone because I'm not a prosecutor.
Here's the photo. Have you ever seen 2 people look more miserable?
Yeah.
What the hell is Rachel Maddow and Dr. Fauci doing at Dick Cheney's funeral?
Doesn't
that kind of expose the whole thing, Senator?
The thing is it kind of exposes that Dick Cheney really wasn't a conservative. I mean, Dick Cheney was the guy who said that deficits don't matter. He was a big government Republican, and you see a lot of big government Democrats there. And wasn't much difference really between the Cheneys and the Democrats. There are also people who believe that we should be everywhere all the time. They aren't America first. They're America last people. Rachel Maddow is not against war. She's not an anti-war liberal. She's not even a progressive. She's a pro-war liberal. She's a pro-big government liberal. The left, most of them all love the Ukrainian war. They would just soon send our soldiers to fight over there. That's how much they're not. There are good members of the left. There are far left progressives who don't like war. None of those are gathered there. Those are the pro-war left-wing big government Democrats who love Dick Cheney. I mean, what a motley crew.
I know we got to go here. Remember Kamala Harris bragging about the Cheney endorsement? I mean, it was grotesque. She did it in the debates. She did it. She traveled around with Liz Cheney and did campaign stops with her. It didn't go over great with her base, by the way. I mean, it was obviously an absolute fumble, but so dumb. I mean, it's just so dumb.
There's only one incumbent Republican that I've gone and campaigned against. It was Liz Cheney. As you know, it takes a while to get to Wyoming on a commercial plane. I flew to Wyoming a couple times. Harriet Hageman's been a great replacement. She's a wonderful woman and a great representative. And I flew out there because, we had to get rid of Liz Cheney. She was a menace. And I was also afraid if she kept winning, she could potentially be a presidential candidate on the Republican side. And she's the antithesis of everything I believe. She believed in spying on everyone. She believed in the huge spy apparatus. She believed in being involved everywhere. And then she even got so confused on foreign policy. The president is constrained on declaring war, but executing a war is the president's prerogative, where the troops are. And we're still fighting this. We have a defense authorization bill that has language in it that says that President Trump cannot move troops around in Europe without first asking and consulting with NATO. How insulting it is for an American president to be told that he has to go in on bended knee, say, oh, to the socialists of Europe, I might be moving some troops around. We might have less troops in Germany. That's none of their damn business. That's an insult to our sovereignty and everything American. And that's a Liz Cheney idea. And it's living on with the other neocons who on the surface, oh, we love Donald Trump. We're MAGA, 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 until they secretly slip in there language that hamstrings President Trump's ability to move troops around. And these are the people who are not his friends, but they surround the president often, pretend to be his friends, and really are secretly stabbing in his back. And they don't believe in America first. They're the American last internationalists that have always been his enemy. He just doesn't always realize it. They are secretly trying to get their way by buddying up to him, but he needs to beware.
Well, we're glad that you're keeping him aware and texting him, and we hope that you do use profane language. Sometimes it's merited. Please follow Rand Paul. You won't find any profanity on his X account. At least I don't think. He's got 6 million subscribers. You got to be one of them. Fight with the people who are fighting for us. Godspeed, Senator. Thank you so much. And, swear as much as you want on our show.
Okay, damn it.
Godspeed.
Thanks.
ladies and gentlemen, Rand Paul there, very chill, cool dude. But what he was saying is blazing hot, rip your face off. Very good stuff there on the pipe bomber and on Fauci and on the Cheneys and on the Uniparty and on the people who are trying to destroy MAGA. Speaking of red light in your face, the Bond Charge red light face mask is something that I use every single night. I chill out with it. I'm telling you, I read my Bible with this thing on. It is red. It doesn't make your face, it doesn't make your face red, but the light is so good for you. It's so good for your face because, well, it's the kind of light that you get from the sun. But if it's a cloudy day out, like that was the season when I lived in Iowa. If you live in the Midwest, it's like just gray for 6 straight months. If you're like that and you need that good sunshine, you need that red light, ladies and gentlemen, you should get it here from Bond Charge. Or if you're like me and you work in this little black box and you don't leave until the sun is down, which is what I do every single day, then you need this as well. It's great for your skin. It leaves you feeling relaxed and euphoric, just 10 to 20 minutes a day. Go to bondcharge.com/Benny and use the code Benny for 15% off. That's BONCHARGE.com/Benny and use the coupon code Benny for 15% off. Ladies and gentlemen, as we move along in our show, we're getting James Comer, Chairman James Comer, set up. We're seeing some major breakthroughs in the House, thank God, on a number of different investigative fronts. Happening fast enough? No. Ladies and gentlemen, something that should be happening fast is you should be getting out of high-interest credit card debt with American Financing. American Financing can make sure that you are out from under 20 and 30% debt rates. These are usury rates. They should be illegal. This is modern-day slavery. I talk about it a lot, but ladies and gentlemen, this is skyrocketing in America. I don't want a nation of debt slavers, right, or slaves or serfs. Make sure that you refinance right now in the low 5s and combat sky-high credit card rates today. American Financing. Call them at 888-528-1219. That's 888-528-1219. AmericanFinancing.net/Benny. All right, boy, I'm really excited to get to the Jasmine Crockett announcement here. And Jasmine Crockett is a member of Chairman James Comer's oversight committee. Hot damn. Can you imagine having to go into that committee and moderate between MTG and Jasmine Crockett and Lauren Boebert every single day, and Rashida Tlaib? This is what Chairman James Comer has done. And in spite of all of that distraction, he was still able to prove dead to rights the Biden criminal enterprise, and was probably more valuable than anybody getting Joe Biden to drop out of the race and damaging him politically. So it's always an honor to have Chairman James Comer on the show. Jasmine Crockett leaving your committee. It's gotta be a real heartbreaker for you, Mr. Chairman.
You know, I appreciate what you said, Benny, about having to deal with all those strong women on my committee fighting each other, especially Crockett and Marjorie, and you mentioned Mace and Stansberry and Rashida Tlaib and all that. You know, when I became chairman a few years ago, I looked like you. I had a dark head of hair and wore a tight shirt and had, I was in good shape. Now I'm all broke down and white-headed. That's 100% of the reason why. But, Crockett's only claim to fame is that viral moment where she got into it with Marjorie and she's never accomplished anything. And when she first came on the oversight committee, she was a completely different personality than she is now. When Crockett first appeared, I was somewhat impressed. She was polished and professional. And then over time, she morphed into whatever she is now, and it's a completely different personality.
Okay, so that's really interesting. I mean, this is not where we're going to go in this interview, but can you expound on that? So she showed up, and we've covered extensively. We did an entire documentary that's been seen by 50 million people about Jasmine Crockett and code switching, is what it's called. It is when you are obviously playing a part, a character. It could be anything from a country club to a hood rat, but you're code switching somebody who you are not. And Jasmine Crockett is not from the ghetto. Jasmine Crockett is from very elite country club neighborhoods and went to very elite schools, some of the best in the country. She spent millions of dollars on her education in these schools and comes from privilege, quite frankly. And so Jasmine Crockett's persona, her rap persona or whatever you want to call it, it's fake. And it's It's provably fake. So you're saying you witnessed that up close?
We've all witnessed it, but me especially. She went from someone that I thought, if the Democrat Party is looking, this was 4 years ago now. If the Democrat Party is looking for an African American female to be front and center, I thought Crockett had the potential to be it, but she is completely morphed. I'm going to predict, Benny, she's going to morph back during her campaign to look more like the first version of Jasmine Crockett we saw on the committee, not the last version or the current version. But yeah, you grew up in privilege, which I don't discriminate against that. I don't criticize that. But, she's had more opportunities than I've had in life and better education and things like that, which is fine. That's great. I'm a Republican. I'm for everybody being successful. But the current version of Jasmine Crockett is not who I feel is the authentic version. Certainly not the original version that we met of Jasmine Crockett.
So it's too bad. You're gonna we're gonna be missing out with Marjorie resigning. You're gonna be missing out on the roller derby.
Yeah,
of your committee. It was always must-watch TV. We didn't take any committee hearings live except for yours, just because of that fact. And so, I'm sorry. It's just programming notes, right? Like
I know.
Too bad. All right. So, what do you would like? Just a final thing on Jasmine, since that's news and we want to cover that. What do you think is going to happen here? There's a lot of Republicans that are really thrilled about her decision to run for Senate. Is that presumptuous?
Yeah, I mean, I think she's very beatable. If we can't beat Jasmine Crockett in Texas, it's going to be a very difficult election year. I mean, to me, she symbolizes what the Democrat Party is. They want more government. They don't think there's any waste, fraud, or abuse anywhere in the government. They want more social programs. Their number one policy objective is to hurt Donald Trump. And I don't think that that's going to sell with hardworking, tax-paying voters. And I know that's what Texas has, like Kentucky, a lot of hardworking, conservative, tax-paying voters that just want good government. They want a government that is responsible, a government that's limited but efficient and effective. And Jasmine Crockett wants the biggest government possible with more social programs, and she wants to spew hate and divisiveness and disrupt everything President Trump stands for. She was opposed to him securing the border, which I think was a big issue in Texas. So if she's the Democrat nominee, I feel pretty good about retaining that Senate seat.
What about Marjorie? Is she going to resign? Do you think that she could be convinced to stick out her term? Are there going to be 20 more Republicans resigning? You're pretty high up in the Republican conference in the House. Is that going to happen?
I would lie. I would be lying if I said there wasn't a lot of discontent right now where everyone's frustrated. We feel like we should have accomplished a little bit more. But at the end of the day, it's very difficult to get to 218. We have a member, from my state that's not going to vote for anything right now. And that just leaves one vote. And you've got, members that represent moderate districts that don't want to go along with some of the stuff that you and I would like to see happen, Benny. And the Democrats aren't doing anything. They're not supporting anything. And then if we get something passed in the House, it's on a party line vote and it goes to the Senate. They've got to get 60 votes, which means they've got to get 7 or 8 if Rand votes for it, Democrat votes. And it's just almost impossible to do that. And everybody's frustrated because we feel like this is a window of opportunity to get a lot of things accomplished. And, it's not President Trump's fault. It's not Mike Johnson's fault. It's just hard to get to 218 when you don't have any margins. And then if you pass something conservative, it takes 60 votes in the Senate. So the problem would probably change if we change the filibuster, change the rules on the Senate. But that's great when we have the Senate. But when we don't have the Senate, that might not be something that we like, because we know the Democrats will turn around and make Washington, D.C. a state, and that gives them 2 more senators. There's no scenario where a Republican can win in Washington, D.C. Absolutely none. And, then are they going to add some seats to the Supreme Court and make it more liberal? I mean, I fear what would happen with the Democrats if they were in power and had a supermajority in the Senate. So, it's a tough scenario here. The system was designed in Congress, especially with the Senate, we're taking 60 votes to pass a bill. It was designed for compromise, and it's hard to compromise with Democrats when there's not a single Democrat that I know of in the House of Representatives that wants to govern. They want Donald Trump to fail. They want the Republicans to fail. They would have shut the government down forever. That, you know, they're supposedly for people getting SNAP benefits and for the federal employees to get paid. But at the end of the day, they didn't care. As long as Donald Trump was suffering and they felt like they were winning the PR battle with their liberal friends in the media, they were going to vote to keep the government shut down for eternity.
Yeah, I mean, the PR battle seemed to be exactly what was going on with this pipe bomber story. We now have dead to rights from Loudermilk's committee that they had Brian Cole Jr. and they had his cell phone tracking data. And they locked up meemaws and grandmas and nanas from Kentucky and from every other state based on cell phone tracking data. We have the actual documentation here from 2021 saying the FBI had the individual. They've redacted his name, and they have the exact same language in the charging affidavit for right now, 2025, saying that they were able to geolocate this dude through his phone. He was really the only user that was making the circuitous and strange route. 7 different sessions. They had him dead to rights. It's the same phone that he's used for a decade, and they literally just let him go. My contention is because they needed a narrative that there was a terroristic bomber that helped accelerate charges for peaceful January 6th protesters, ruin lives. And so this was all part of the narrative. And I guess the question is like, well, what the hell happened there? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Do we do another investigation? I mean, we got to call in the FBI, right? Like to answer for this.
Well, you're right about the narrative. And this is what I've learned going back to the Biden influence peddling investigation. All your deep state agencies work closely on a daily basis with the left-wing media, and they want to create narratives, and they have all these narratives, like, you know, starting with Trump colluded with Russia to January 6th was a right-wing white supremacist coup against our government.
Yes.
And when they identified who the bomber was that left the pipe bomb at RNC and DNC, that didn't fit their narrative. Nothing about him fit the narrative. That's why on some of these mass shooters that so many have ended up being trans, they don't want to talk about that because that goes against their narrative about trans people. And again, they want every domestic terrorist to be a white male so they can say white supremacists are taking over our country. And, you know, that's their narrative that they want. And I think that's why they did nothing with this individual, because they wanted a narrative that it was all white men upset over Trump losing the election, and they were going to have a coup of our government. That's the narrative they've tried to say on January 6th. And the more that comes out, the more you realize there were a lot of FBI agents in the crowd. Why didn't that come out in the January 6th committee? You know, it gives the possibility that they were enticing the crowd. And you know, but again, that goes against the narrative, and they didn't want the truth to come out. So there's been so many lies, and that's what you're going to get when you got a committee led up by Jamie Raskin. He wasn't the chairman of that committee, but he was calling the shots. And you know, that's why Jamie Raskin had to have a pardon when Joe Biden left. He had to get a pardon from the auto pen because he did a report that wasn't 100% accurate, because they wanted to work with the liberal media to create a false narrative that would somehow hurt Donald Trump.
So he lied in his report. I mean, I think a lot of people have contended that he lied in his report, but then this pipe bomber, they just straight up knew exactly who he was, and that he was a young black man who's a spectrum, who comes from a left-wing family, at the very least, Democrat activist, sued Donald Trump, sue ICE, sue DHS, sue for racism. And so they just let him skip. So then what the hell happens there? Like what should happen?
What should happen is the Department of Justice should prosecute these people.
The people that let them go. The people that look the other way.
Oh, the people that let them go. Yeah. I mean, at the very least, you should be able to terminate those people. Any excuse to terminate someone from the deep state, we need to take advantage of, because it's very hard to fire federal employees. We tried to tell Elon Musk that. You know, unlike the private sector, they have protections in the federal government called civil service. In Kentucky, a state employee has protection called merit. If you're a teacher, it's a thing called tenure. And it's very difficult to fire these people. But there is a path to fire these people if you can prove they abused their power, they did something wrong. And we need to set examples out of these people, if for no other reason, so that other deep state employees, because look, all these agencies are filled to the gill with left-wing activists. You don't find many conservative young people that say, I want to work in a government agency. It's liberal left-wing activists who want to work in a lot of these government agencies. They're not all bad, but a lot of them are. And a lot of them are the reason that Trump has had so much weaponization against him. And it's not just against Trump. You have these left-wing agencies, the EPA, they've attacked energy companies. You've got Department of Labor, they've attacked franchises. I mean, you any type of business model, you've got some left-wing activist in some government agency that's weaponized and in my opinion, abused their power. And they hide behind, oh, we've got all these civil service protections. You can't fire me. You can't go in and fire me. When you find that they completely turned a blind eye to corruption or abuse their power, you move in there. And that should be the number one priority for the cabinet secretary. We're going to go all in to fire this one employee. And that'll set an example. And I think where we've seen some mistakes made by Musk and some others, they try to fire the whole thing. Well, we're going to lose in court. And that's what's happening. I don't like the laws that protect all these federal employees because the Democrats wrote those laws, but that's the law now. And it's unfortunate, but you can get rid of bad actors. And I think that's the direction Pam Bondi needs to go. Kash Patel needs to go. Brooke Rollins at the Department of Ag needs to go. Lee Zeldin at the EPA. Focus on the worst people where there's overwhelming evidence that they've abused their power. Get them terminated. And you're going to set an example that's going to send shockwaves through that whole agency. And they're going to be real careful not to do that again. Right now, they're going to keep doing it. They're going to keep undermining the cabinet secretaries because they feel like they're protected from the civil, with the civil service laws that they can't be fired. And that's unfortunate.
You do an enormous amount of fraud and graft and corruption uncovering in your committee. Elon Musk was brought in to do just that, but it's an experiment that I think many people would say, including Elon Musk, failed, sadly. Why? Why did it fail? Did he uncover something he shouldn't have? Did he get too close to the actual power centers of Washington, D.C. and how things operate? Things got pretty intense there, and then it all got shut down. So what's going on?
No, and look, I support Elon Musk. I think Ramaswamy and Musk together would have been a lot better deal because here's the situation. If you studied Musk, and I supported everything he was trying to do, but you have to understand the personnel laws in the federal government, and the laws were written to protect the federal employees. They have more rights than anyone. They get away with things that no one in the private sector would be able to get away with. I think that instead of terminating everyone, attempting to terminate everyone, you go in and identify the ones at the top that there's overwhelming evidence they've abused their power. They have turned a blind eye to corruption, and set an example out of them, then hope that some whistleblowers come forward to spill the beans on other people. That's kind of how the process worked. And I think that they went in on day one and just, started eliminating agencies and terminating agencies. And I think that was the problem. But again, I support the cause. Look, what I'm saying, the business model I'm saying is going to take the entire 4 years of an administration. And you're going to just cut off a sliver, and it always sounds better to get rid of the whole agency on day one or whatever. But it's hard to win in court. They will file a lawsuit, they will object, they will file a grievance, and it's hard to win those lawsuits unless you've got ample evidence. And the media is creating the narrative that what Trump and Musk were doing was weaponizing. That's not true. They were holding people accountable who had weaponized conservatives and private sector businesses and Donald Trump in the past. They were holding them accountable and making government more efficient. But the media and the lawyers defending these state employees say, oh, they're weaponized, they're abusing their power, they violated personnel laws and labor laws, and that's what's been difficult. I think you have to have someone that understands the personnel laws and takes a bite at a time. And I think that's the way. I still think Doge can be wildly successful, but you have to understand the personnel laws if you're going to start terminating federal employees, which I want to do. No one wants to do it more than I do, but again, you have to understand the personnel laws.
Okay. In closing here, Mr. Chairman, what's your assessment of Pam Bondi, the DOJ, their ability to actually get some of these prosecutions done? I know the president was pretty frustrated this morning, sending out sort of a direct message to Pam Bondi saying, what is this? Like, everybody keeps getting turned down. All these prosecutions we get indictments, and then the prosecutor's illegal. Seems like we keep swinging and missing. And what's been your experience here?
Yeah, well, it's a tough job to be Attorney General. I share the president's frustration. I want to see Pam Bondi be successful, and I think that you have to have the right people in there. And some of the people that are prosecuting some of these cases were some of the people that I feel like in the Department of Justice we should be holding accountable for wrongdoing in the past. So hopefully she will be successful. I think everyone would agree we're a little behind schedule with accountability. I like to focus on one or two things at a time and be successful with that. And I think, sometimes she's had a lot of stuff thrown in her lap, and it focus on two or three people or agencies that you want to hold accountable, get the wins there, and then go to two or three more. And right now we're not getting any wins because we're in court in so many areas, and it's a tough job, but hopefully we'll see some accountability. Because as I travel, I was in New Orleans this weekend. I travel all over the United States, helping Republican candidates and speaking at events and things like that. The biggest complaint I get is, you've done all these investigations. Why hasn't anyone gone to prison yet? And that no one wants to see people in handcuffs more than I do. We can't arrest anyone. All we can do is investigate. All Jim Jordan can do on judiciary is investigate. We've got to have a Department of Justice hold these people accountable. And we've given the Department of Justice Dr. Fauci's name. We've given them, the Biden family name of criminal referrals. And we, did the auto pen investigation, which hopefully will kick out all the pardons. I know President Trump said that. I think there's a process to make that happen. Just tweeting about it hasn't made it happen yet. I think there's things that can be done to make it happen. You have to get rid of the pardons to be able to prosecute people like Dr. Fauci and the Biden family, and we think we've done that. So hopefully we'll see some results, because we need some accountability, or these deep state actors are going to continue to abuse their power.
Yeah, that's what people are feeling. Rome wasn't built in a day. It takes a while to turn a big ship around, but
it does.
Boy, it's I'm sort of done giving excuses, honestly, Mr. Chairman. And I just want to see it. I just want to see I want to see the action. I mean,
I agree.
Even just what you did with the Biden investigation was enough to devastate the public narrative, and enough. That was demonstrable. Obviously, no one was going to go to prison for that. But you showed and uncovered all the corruption and did it in a methodical way that you just decimated sort of the Biden crime family. So even that would be good enough for me. But handcuffs would be way better. Jamie Comer, ladies and gentlemen, here is his account on X. I think this is
that's my private account, but that's account. Good. We've got a.
Hold on, we got the there we go, and we got so. Follow the private account for SEC football updates and cursing and family photos, and then here's the main account for the congressional Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Oversight himself, Jamie Comer, thank you. Godspeed. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Benny. Appreciate you.
Patriot Mobile, baby. Obviously, we use them all the time. We will be traveling again this week. Going to the White House a couple times. Doing some very exciting things. Bring the family. You're invited to Christmas with your kids at the White House. We're excited for that. I expect many cute photos to go up. I know our family photos are so triggering for the demons online. It's like, dudes, you are going to get so many family photos this week. You're going to love it. It's something that will be taken with our Patriot Mobile device because it connects us to you, and it does so on the single most Christian, conservative, wireless provider and best network in America. Same or better coverage, premium coverage on main carriers. This is what Patriot Mobile provides. They also offer unlimited data plans, mobile hotspots, international roaming, and more. Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT. Use promo code Benny for a free month of service. That's patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT to make the switch today. Okay, just real fast. Jasmine Crockett, she was the meme of the show. And this is a very, very funny meme because it actually reflects perfectly her announcement ad. Here we go. It's an announcement ad of her just listening to Trump call her a low IQ person. Great.
How about this new one they have? Their new star, Crockett.
This is amazing.
How about her? She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble.
But you have this woman, Crockett. She's a very low IQ person.
I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. Crockett. Oh, man. Oh, man. She's a very low IQ person.
Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
Good job. Good job, Jasmine. This is good. That's. We might need to swap that one out, Klein. That's a little cornball. That's a little like 1950s sitcom. But that is bold strategy, Crockett. We'll see if it pays off for you. Like crossing your arms and smiling into the camera, being called a low IQ person. At the very least, refute it. Say like, no, I'm high IQ, and show an IQ test. I don't know. Like at the very least, like it looks like you're endorsing Trump, saying that you're low IQ by doing something that's very low IQ, like that video. Anyway, it's also low IQ to have this rapper try and rap for Jasmine. This is our cringe alert. And we haven't done a cringe alert in a very long time. This is the cringiest thing you've seen in probably ever on this program, and that's saying a lot. Man, dust this one off. The old cringe alert. Let's go. Here's the rapper.
Let's get into it. Okay. She ain't never scared and she ain't never been. Always willing to go toe-to-toe against the president. I can't wrap my head around someone who votes Republican. She advocate for feeding kids. They protect folks touching them. Trump invading his own country with our army. What a joke. We remember Pearl Harbor by illegally bombing boats. But y'all thought we wasn't gonna do nothing, buddy. Think again. They only trying to scare out of running because they think she'll win. Listen, thought I told y'all we ain't never scared. Now look who name on the docket. Got 2 words for every racist bigot. Jasmine Crockett.
Y'all hear the words.
Me, I hope my money goes to side that isn't trying to say affordability's a hope. She stand on business, all 10 toes. Texas dope, don't need no more bad built, bleach, blonde, butch bodies moving forward.
It's stuff like that that gives me hope. Yeah, this is a Will Smith. Yes, that's right. Killer Klein's like, this is Will Smith style rap. Yeah, this is exactly right. It gives me hope. You know what? Good. Please. Reminds me of Cardi B at the Kamala Harris rally. Do you remember when Beyonce showed up and didn't sing? Like, they're going to keep doing this. I don't know who the hell this rapper is. My favorite part is that he just lost his place entirely. You know, sometimes I take a second to gather my thoughts on the show. Just kind of like, give me a beat, you know? Don't actually give me a beat, but like, can't rap. Just give me a second, like, gather my thoughts, take a second, take a deep breath. This dude, like, lost his place for an entire verse, and you could hear that he was dubbed behind him, and he forgot his own rap. Here he is. He forgets how to rap his own rap. This is great. This is perfect. This is why Donald Trump calls him a low IQ person. You remember this? When the teleprompters went out. So Cardi B had to read off her phone. Oh, so good. Like, thank you. We needed this. Like, thank you, Jasmine. We actually, it's a little shot in the arm for us. Thank you. We needed this. The reminder of how cringe these campaigns actually are. Wait until AOC runs for president, bro. You ain't never seen cringe. I mean, that'll be suffocating, like drowning levels of cringe. You ain't never seen anything like it. The concerts, the performances, what's going to happen there. Oh, yeah. We're ready for it. And Jasmine Crockett did a speech and started sobbing on stage after saying, the reason why I ran is because I need a bigger voice. It's interesting. Most of the time you run because, like, the farmers need to be able to grow food and stuff, or, like, you know, the factory workers need to have a decent wage or whatever, right? Kids need to have clean water. Nope. Jasmine Crockett saying, I'm running because I need a bigger voice. That's an exact quote. It's perfect. It's perfect. Here we go.
Right now, many people wonder why I jumped in this race so late, and I just want to be clear that this was never my intention. This was never about me. I never put myself into any of the polls. Listen, my question was, which congressional seat would I be running for? And for Texas 30, I love you, Texas 30. Okay, I'm gonna finish. But the more I saw the poll results, I couldn't ignore the trends, which were clear, both as it.
The trends were clear that I was a black woman, and so my DEI party will endorse me no matter what. And I'm the flavor of the month because I get on MSNBC a lot. And so now, and I say a lot of naughty words about Donald Trump. And so now everyone's going to be forced to endorse me, and they're going to try to make me the next big thing. And I mean, if she wasn't running in Texas, I'd be a little worried, right? If she was running in Georgia or whatever. Raphael Warnock, he's so impressive. He just beats his wife a little bit on camera. What a monster, these people. Jasmine Crockett is a monster, according to all available reports. Man, don't read some of the staffer reports about how she is as a boss. Here is, though, all you need to see. 20 seconds of Jasmine Crockett explaining why she got in the race. Here we go.
Especially in this moment. There are a lot of people that said, you got to stay in the house. We need our voice. We need you there. And I understand. But what we need is for me to have a bigger voice. What we need is not only a voice, but we need to make sure that we are going to stop all the hell.
We need me to have bigger voice. That's what we need. We finna need a bigger voice. Yeah. We went ahead and checked Jasmine's voice in our documentary. It's funny, everyone's like calling out, like, wow, it'd be nice if somebody did a deep dive into who Jasmine Crockett is, where the hell she came from. Dude, this is why you got to have those killer instincts. Where were we in the summer? Walking around the mean streets of Dallas, it was hot, and we were exposing Jasmine Crockett. And to the tune of 50 million people saw this video. Here's just a short of it What's up, guys? We are in Dallas, Texas today in the heart of Jasmine Crockett's district. It is rough, it is tough, it is hood, and it is foul, just like Jasmine Crockett. That's the whole persona, right? Tough talking, street fighting girl from the ghetto. That's Jasmine Crockett's entire aura, the attitude.
Looks like in the shitter to me.
The volume.
Don't tell me to calm down, because y'all talk noise and then you
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
The voice.
The congressional seat is over 4 times as large as my House seat.
I'm trying to get clarification.
But there's a little problem with Jasmine. It's all a lie. She's code switching. She's a fraud. And we can prove it today. This is where Jasmine says she's from, but this is where Jasmine's really from. Welcome to St. Louis, Missouri, Jasmine Crockett's hometown. But let me show you where Jasmine Crockett's really from. Never liked the way that
Welcome to St. Louis,
I've never liked
specifically the Republican suburbs of St. Louis, with the mansions, country clubs, and private schools. This is where Jasmine Crockett was raised. We're talking quiet suburbs, manicured lawns, college brochures in the mailbox, and neighbors who wave when they mow the lawn.
This is where Jasmine Crockett went to school. It's called the Mary Institute and St. Louis Country Day School. It's one of the most prestigious institutions in the entire country, also one of the most expensive. Check this out. This isn't just a good school. This is the #1 school in the entire state of Missouri. It costs $35,000 per year to attend high school here. It's more like college.
The
reason why is because
that's more than 4 years at my college.
Test scores here guarantee your placement in an elite college institution. It's one of the best preparatory schools in the world. Okay. Jasmine Crockett goes on from there to private school, Rhodes College in the leafy hills of Tennessee. Looks like Hogwarts. Then she went on to a prestigious law school in Houston, the Houston School College of Law. All of that adding up to millions of dollars in educational expenses at some of the finest educational institutions in the world. And Jasmine Crockett is going to tell you and act like a oppressed girl, hood rat from the mean streets. And she's lying. She's code switching. Every statement. Was that, Klein? Every statement, every commentary, every time. The time's up for Jasmine Crockett. Maybe we should do round 2. It's because of you. It's because of you that we did this. You remember that, Klein? We did a poll. We did multiple polls. And we were like, who should we expose? AOC was #1 and Crockett was #2. I feel like we have to go and hit Ilhan Omar next. I feel like that's going to be next. That's the one. That's the one we missed. We got derailed. We actually had plans to do that. But Charlie's murder threw everything, right? It's the world's gone insane. The world's just gone insane. It's released demons, honestly. It's released demons. We're going to shut the mouths of the demons. We're going to keep fighting, and we're going to keep doing this work. Obviously, we just had to put it on pause for a bit, but hot damn, man, those are some fun documentaries to do. How many views that one? How many views that one get? 700,000 views on YouTube, millions more on X, Instagram, Rumble, and all across social media. So we're very, very proud of it, and we need to do more of it. We're like the only people actually going out and doing content like this, and so all the more reason, ladies and gentlemen, to make sure that you're liked and subscribed to our program. Thank you so much for being part of what we're building here. We want to build a better America for you and with you. We also want a healthier America. 120 Life is what I drink. And I drink it as soon as I can get my hands on a little bottle. They're about this big. My kids love them. They don't get juice, so this is like the juice that they get. It's a blend of all 5 natural ingredients that lowers your high blood pressure, helps with diabetes. It does this all naturally. Nobody needs more big pharma in their life. Right now, you can save 20% on 120 Life. It's an awesome deal. I drink these in order to lower my high blood pressure. I have naturally high blood pressure, and in in the podcast wars of 2025. Hot damn, man, that blood pressure is skyrocketing. Make sure that you're chilling out. Thousands of health professionals recommend 120 Life, and it tastes delicious, easy to drink. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you aren't part of the nearly half the country that suffers from high blood pressure, especially as the holidays are coming up. Use my code Benny at 120Life for 20% off. 120life.com, 120life.com. Use code Benny for 20% off. Okay, what do we hit here? We got a couple of things. Let's try and end a couple of items here in the script. Let's try and end on something positive. Okay, yeah, sure. Susie Wiles. Trump will campaign for 2026 like it's 2024 again. Great. A lot of people coming after Susie Wiles these days. A lot of people saying Susie Wiles, the chief of staff. It's obviously the kind of, these are the people that like bear the blame if things go wrong. Susie Wiles, though, seems to have, right, Alex? Seems to have President Trump's very firm endorsement. President Trump has said on the record many times that Susie Wiles is somebody that is sticking around. So what do you think, man? A lot of people were like, no, she's getting the axe. Doesn't seem to be true. I am not on the crash out team, right? There's so many people that are anti-Trump. And you can go check. They were anti-Trump before 2024. They did nothing to help us win in the movement. They're celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. Charlie Kirk, the guy who actually did win the White House for Donald Trump, swung the youth to the right, something that, was damn near impossible. Used Turning Point USA to do it, and now they're attacking Charlie's legacy and attacking the most successful youth political organizing force in American history. Anyway, don't listen to those frauds. Listen to the people that, if you want Donald Trump to win and keep winning, if you want our party to keep winning, you got to listen, ladies and gentlemen, the people that were part of it, part of building all of this together. It was a wild and very fun campaign. We were ditch diggers in that campaign. We were just grunt workers on the front lines, but very proud of the fact that we had the most watched live stream on election night and had a lot of fun while doing it. Butler, man. Oh, dude, we went back to Butler for Donald Trump and Elon Musk joining Trump on stage, and that was just magical. One of the best nights of my life. So awesome. So neat to witness. Madison Square Garden rally. Anyway, I hope that they can recreate the energy like it's 2024 again. Do it. Do it. Here's Susie Wiles saying we're going to do it.
He's going to have a fun next year. But we're going to put him on the campaign trail, too. Typically, just a little bit of campaign speak, if I may.
Yeah.
Typically, in the midterms, it's not about who's sitting at the White House. It's you localize the election.
Right.
And you keep the federal officials out of it. We're actually going to turn that on its head.
Good.
And put him on the ballot because so many of those low propensity voters are Trump voters.
Yes, they are.
And we saw a week ago Tuesday what happens when he's not on the ballot and not active. So I haven't quite broken it to him yet, but he's going to campaign like it's 2024 again.
Oh.
For all these people that he helps. He doesn't help everybody, but for those he does, he's a difference maker. And he's certainly a turnout machine. So the midterms will be very important to us. He'll work very hard to keep the majority.
Yeah, we can't afford to have this stalled.
No.
And one of the things I keep telling people, and I'm sure we're going to talk politics. I got to talk this. I am so frustrated with all of the people that gave abundantly to organizations like ours and others over the last 4 years to make sure that we won. And our objective was threefold. We didn't just want the presidency. We wanted the House. We wanted the Senate. And we were very strategic on where we went, how we focused to get those moms out. And now it's like they're all sitting on their laurels and going, oh, we're good. I'm like, I don't think you realize how good we aren't. Yeah. And this with swipe of a pen and one election can change everything.
And the majorities in both houses are so small.
Right. They are.
This is a good Senate year for Republicans. Every 2 years is what it is for House members. So there's candidate recruitment. The president started raising money for the midterms the day after the election. Good. And he's sitting on a huge war chest to help these people. And he'll use it, and he'll use himself, and he'll use his money that he's raised, probably his money too, and nobody can outwork him. So there's every reason to be confident, but we have to actually get it done.
Yeah.
She's saying, just from a production standpoint, in our practical set and studio here with real Christmas decorations behind us, That set is really something. I'm not sure if they're filming at like a hospice center or... I mean, I like the fake window. The fake window is great. It just reminds me of like 1990s television, Home Improvement, like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Roseanne. I'm getting all those vibes. What is that podcast? How can I get Kara, how do I get booked on this? This is, I want to be on this show. Well, how do I get on this show? I want to be able to, I want the shot with the fake plant. Go over to Susie like that. There's this giant fake plant behind her. I need some more of those. There's a big green one in the close-up shot. Like, well done. Wow. And then the painting. Goodness. How do I get this interior decorator? Klein, we got some work to do, man. I need a giant fake window in the studio. What would we have back there? I would have a Godzilla. Like Tokyo. Godzilla in Tokyo. Yeah. That's what life feels like. It's fine. We'll roll with it. Sorry. So mean. So bitchy. So mean. It's called the mom view. So, all right. Okay. The mom view. Maybe we'll book Kate. Book Kate on it. Yes. Good. Let's go. All right. I like what she's saying. More golden era, ladies and gentlemen. Advantage Gold is a sponsor, and the last sponsor that we have today for the show. We talk about Advantage Gold all of the time. Gold has done great in our portfolio. It is the golden era, and it's just something steady. It's topsy-turvy right now, depending on what you're into. Is it crypto? Is it the Mag 7? Is it small cap, big cap? Everything's up and down. And what you're seeing here with gold, and especially with the Fed's funds rates that are going to come crashing down, looks like they're going to do a rate cut. It's just a solid time to invest, baby. Invest today. Advantage Gold. Text Benny to 85545 right now. That's BENNY to 85545 right now. You'll instantly get a free gold investment kit. It's $49 value. And you don't want to wait. Gold rally is just beginning. So text Benny to 85545 right now. Help protect your savings with Advantage Gold. Okay, that's ending on some good news. How about that? And here's some more good news. Our verse of the day. The true light, which gives light to everyone, was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made through him. John 1:9. True light, ladies and gentlemen, in this Christmas season. Be confident in the true light of the world, that is the Christ child, and make sure that you are taking time to find peace. Open up your Bible, read your Bible, pray. These are the kind of things that cause great calm in your life, and I have a feeling that things are just going to get crazier and crazier. And you know what? At the very least, we'll have the rock of Christ in this season to celebrate it. Most importantly, so we wish you a blessed Merry Christmas, and march on with us on to victory, ladies and gentlemen. In the end, we win. Praise God. See ya.
How about this new one they have? Their new star, Crockett. How about her?
I didn't know you had elves working here.
No, you smell like a bum's nutsack.
Does Santa know that you left the workshop?
You're so ugly you could be a modern art masterpiece.
Damn it. Just sit there like a fucking reek.
Cheap, lying, no good, rotten, four-flushing, low-life, snake-licking, dirt-eating, inbred, overstuffed, ignorant, blood-sucking, dog-kissing, brainless, dickless, hopeless, heartless, fat-ass, bug-eyed, stiff-legged, spotty-lipped, worm-headed sack of monkey shit.
Did you have to borrow a reindeer to get down here?
5'9". I didn't know they stacked shit that high. You trying to squeeze an inch in on me somewhere, huh?
It's an angry elf.
You shat me out of your womb. You're my mom now. I don't need any god lectures out of you. I know how to keep a low profile.
It looks to me like the best part of you ran down to cracking your mama's ass and ended up as a brown stain on the mattress. I think you've been cheated.
Somebody drop you on your head?
Where the truth gon' be, faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade. Cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade. Cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.